All right, let's take a deep dive. Today, we're tackling a topic that feels, well, both ancient and very future-focused all at once. It's about how Jesus taught his followers to understand the times they were living in, especially regarding what's coming.
Right, and we're looking at it through a key illustration he used, which is really fascinating.
Exactly. And for this deep dive, our main source is from the H7O ministry. It's one of their daily devotionals.
That's right, yeah. It's titled The Fig Tree's Lesson, Discernment for the End Times. And, well, since we're part of the H7O community ourselves,
We are.
we're really quite excited to share some of the insights from it. They've definitely been meaningful for us.
Yeah, same here.
Mm.
And we think they'll resonate with you too. So our mission today is pretty straightforward.
Okay.
We want to unpack the core message of this devotional, pull out those key takeaways, those nuggets of wisdom, and really figure out what this, ancient lesson about a simple fig tree means for you right where you are right now.
Sounds good. Let's jump in.
So where do we start?
Well, the devotional kicks off, naturally, with Jesus' own words. It's from Matthew chapter 24, verses 32 and 33. It's short, but packs a punch.
Okay.
Jesus says, "Learn from the fig tree. When its branch is tender and its leaves begin to sprout, you know that summer is near."
Right, that makes sense, like seeing buds on a tree.
Exactly. And then he draws the parallel.
Yeah.
So also, when you see all these things, you know that it is near, right at the doors.
Right at the doors. Wow. Okay, so that fig tree analogy, that's really the heart of it.
It is. And the devotional makes a really, really important point right away. Jesus isn't handing out, like, a secret decoder ring or a detailed timeline.
No complex charts or graphs.
No, none of that. The devotional calls it avoiding complex eschatological maps. It's not about pinpointing dates.
So what is it about then?
It's about teaching spiritual discernment. That's the key term the devotional uses, how to interpret the signs.
Okay, interpret, not predict.
Precisely. Think about the fig tree. It doesn't shout, "Summer's coming on July 15th.
Huh. No. It
Yeah.
just changes.
It just changes. The branch gets tender, the leaves start showing. These are visible, natural signs that come before a big shift, before summer arrives.
Okay, I see the connection. So just like the fig tree shows, summer is near.
There are signs that point to his coming and the timing of the kingdom. Visible signs.
You can't force summer, you can't force the kingdom,
Yeah.
but you can see the signs that show it's getting close.
And that requires something from us. The devotional really stresses this need for vigilance and sensitivity. It connects it to just observing nature.
Like you actually have to look at the fig tree to notice.
Exactly. You have to be observant. And it draws this really stark contrast. It says, the world can ignore the omens, the disciple cannot.
Ooh, that hits hard. The disciple cannot.
Yeah. It means the world might just carry on, oblivious to the spiritual season changing. But if you're following Jesus, you're called to be, well, tuned in.
Attuned. Paying attention to the spiritual climate. Using the signs God provides.
And that responsibility, that need to pay attention, it leads to the devotional's clear, urgent message wrapping up this core lesson.
Which is?
He is at the door, and it is time to live with readiness and expectation.
Readiness and expectation. So it's imminent, but also hopeful.
Yes, hopeful anticipation, not dread, but readiness born out of looking forward to it.
Okay, so that's the core idea. Learning from the fig tree, being ready. How do we, unpack that further? Does the devotional give more guidance?
It does. It builds on that foundation by laying out several key principles. These help us get a deeper handle on what this discernment actually looks like in practice.
All right, let's get into those principles. What's the first one?
The first one highlighted is discernment is spiritual maturity.
Okay, discernment equals maturity. How does that work?
Well, think back to the fig tree. It's mature enough in its cycle to respond to the coming season by putting out leaves. It doesn't need to announce anything verbally. Its very state shows the season.
Right. Its existence is the message.
Exactly. And the devotional suggests spiritual maturity is kind of similar. As a Christian matures, they develop this inner sensitivity, a spiritual perception.
So they can sort of sense or discern what God is doing, recognize the spiritual season.
Yeah, even when the world around is totally indifferent or blind to it, it's like a quiet, intuitive understanding that comes with growth, not necessarily needing flashing lights.
So it's less about having all the answers or making predictions and more about having that cultivated inner awareness. That makes sense. What's principle number 2?
This one tackles the motivation behind watching. It's vigilance is the fruit of love, not fear.
Oh, that's crucial. Because talk about end times can sometimes get scary.
It really can. It can breed anxiety, even paranoia sometimes. But the devotional is super clear. Jesus wants awakened disciples, not, paranoid ones.
Awakened, not alarmed.
Right. Our readiness, our watching, our vigilance, it should flow from a deep love for Jesus, who the Bible calls the bridegroom.
Like getting ready for someone you love to come home.
Precisely. You prepare because you're excited. You anticipate their arrival with joy, not because you're terrified of getting caught doing something wrong. It's wanting to be ready for him.
That completely changes the feeling behind it, doesn't it? From obligation or fear to anticipation fueled by love. Okay, principle 3.
Principle 3 touches on how God often works. The kingdom grows in silence, but not in secret.
Silence but not secret. What's the distinction there?
Well, it acknowledges that God's work, the growth of his kingdom, much like leaves quietly appearing on a tree, isn't always loud or dramatic. It can be unseen by many.
Okay, so it's quiet.
But the devotional emphasizes quiet doesn't mean secret from his children. The signs do increase, like the leaves becoming more obvious over time.
Ah, so God gives indicators. He doesn't leave people guessing entirely.
No, not those who are looking. He doesn't leave them in the dark, as the devotional puts it. He provides things to observe spiritually, sometimes reflected physically, that show his timing is advancing, that the season is changing.
Got it. So the exact timing might be hidden, but the nearness isn't totally secret if you have spiritual eyes to see. Makes sense. And the last principle.
This one brings it right down to our daily lives. The eschatological urgency is also an ethical urgency.
Eschatological, meaning end times related. So the urgency about the end times translates to urgency in how we live now.
Exactly. This makes it incredibly practical. Knowing Jesus is at the door isn't just some theological idea to debate. It has immediate, urgent consequences for how we live day by day.
How so?
Well, if you truly believe the Lord is near, it should powerfully motivate you towards holiness, towards living a life that honors him. The devotional says it calls us to live with our eyes on eternity.
Eyes on eternity, meaning?
Meaning constantly checking our choices, our use of time, energy, money, all of it against what has lasting eternal value, instead of getting sucked into temporary things that won't last.
Wow. That's a serious filter for decision-making. Does this matter for eternity, knowing the king is coming soon?
It really is. It connects belief directly to behavior.
Okay, these principles, discernment as maturity, vigilance from love, silent but not secret growth, and ethical urgency, they paint a powerful picture. But how do we, actually apply this? How do we move from understanding the fig tree to living it out?
Great question. And the devotional addresses that directly. It offers some specific questions to meditate on and practical steps. These feel like a direct challenge, to you, the listener.
Let's hear them. What are the questions?
Okay, the first one is a real gut check. It asks, have I read the signs of the times with the eyes of the kingdom or with the filter of human news?
Oof, that forces you to examine your perspective.
Well,
Are you seeing things through God's lens or just
the noise.
Exactly. The noise of the world, the 24/7 news cycle. And then there's this one about our spiritual condition. Is my faith awake or dormant due to routine and distractions?
Awake or dormant? Are we actually living that awakened life we talked about, or have we kind of drifted off, lulled by routine, overwhelmed? Yeah, it hits home. And maybe the most practical question ties it all together. What does it mean in practice to live like someone who knows that Jesus is at the door?
Okay, that demands more than just thinking. It asks about actual actions, daily habits, priorities.
Concrete changes.
So if those are the questions pushing us, what are the suggested actions? How does the devotional say we should do this?
The first practical step it lists is to actively cultivate spiritual sensitivity.
Cultivate it, like gardening. It takes effort.
Yes, intentional effort. It means praying specifically for discernment, asking the Holy Spirit for help.
Like, Lord, open my eyes.
Exactly. Asking him to help you see the spiritual reality behind things, to interpret the signs not just with human logic or fear, but with the eyes of faith, as the devotional puts it. It's admitting we need his help to truly see.
That sense. It's a posture of humility. What's next?
The next step flows right from that. Live prepared, not alarmed.
Prepared, not alarmed. Making that distinction again.
Yes, it's crucial. Preparedness isn't the same as anxiety. The devotional actually references the parable of the wise and foolish virgins from Matthew 25 here.
Ah, the ones with the oil for their lamps.
Right. It highlights keeping your lamp lit, which is a metaphor for maintaining your spiritual connection, your relationship with God, keeping your oil reserves full through prayer, scripture, fellowship.
So readiness is about that ongoing connection and obedience.
Yes. So when the moment comes, you're ready to meet the bridegroom with joy, not scrambling in panic because you weren't paying attention or drifted away. It's a calm, steady readiness.
A proactive peace,
Yeah.
not frantic fear.
Okay.
And the final practical step.
This is where the ethical agency really lands. Adjust your priorities.
Right. If he's at the door, things probably need to shift.
Absolutely. This is the practical outcome. If Jesus' return is truly near, our lives should reflect that belief. It demands constant reevaluation.
Looking at where our time goes, what we're chasing after, what we value most.
All of it. The devotional encourages us to keep shifting our focus towards things with eternal significance, things aligned with God's kingdom, and away from being consumed by temporary stuff that will just fade away.
It's an ongoing process of alignment.
Definitely. And to help with that, the devotional points towards some other scriptures too, additional readings that dig deeper into these themes.
Oh yeah, like what?
It mentions 1 Thessalonians 5.6 about being awake and sober. Also 2 Peter 3.11-12, which talks about living holy and godly lives while looking forward to the day of God. And Matthew 25.3, the verse right after the virgin's parable, saying, "Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour." And Hebrews 10.25, encouraging believers to meet together, especially as they see the day approaching.
So watching, holiness, readiness, community, it's all connected.
Exactly. Those passages really layer onto the devotional's core message about the fig tree.
And didn't you say there was a prayer in the devotional too?
Yes, and it really captures the heart of it all
Like,
beautifully.
what's the essence of it?
It's basically a plea for help, asking Jesus to teach us that spiritual discernment, to help us read the signs correctly, praying that our hearts won't get weighed down by, life's worries or distractions.
Or it's just the pull of the world.
Right, but that our hearts would stay awake and steadfast, waiting with joyful expectation. It asks for grace to live like children of light, paying attention to the times, keeping our eyes on his kingdom.
So that whenever he does return,
We're found faithful, vigilant, truly ready, not caught sleeping.
that's powerful. So pulling it all together then, if we had to synthesize the main takeaway from this devotional,
It really comes down to that simple, profound statement, Jesus is at the door.
that's both a statement of fact, according to this teaching, and a call to action.
Definitely. And the devotional summarizes the posture we should have perfectly, I think. Let us not live as those who have all the time in the world.
But as those who wait for the Lord with oil in their lamps and love in their hearts. Love, not fear. Oil, representing readiness.
Exactly. It ties it all together. Spiritual discernment, seeing with faith, leads to vigilance. Vigilance born from love, not dread. Recognizing the quiet but increasing signs. Feeling that ethical urgency to live differently. And practically adjusting our lives to be ready.
It's a full picture.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we wrap up, let's leave you, our listener, with something to mull over this week. A thought drawn right from this lesson.
Okay.
If living with our eyes on eternity means constantly reevaluating our choices and priorities, here's the question for you. What's one specific choice? Maybe something small, maybe something bigger that this deep dive today is prompting you to look at differently this week. Something you might adjust or rethink or maybe start doing, specifically because of this understanding that Jesus is at the door.
A tangible application, taking the fig tree's lesson right into your week.
Exactly. Well, this deep dive has been exploring the H7O Ministry's daily devotional, The Fig Tree's Lesson, Discernment for the End Times.
And as part of the H7O community, we're just really grateful we could share these insights with you today.
We sincerely thank the whole H7O community, and thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. If you want to learn more about the H7O ministry or perhaps support the work they're doing, you can find them online.
The website is h7o.life. That's H7O.life.
We really hope this discussion has been valuable for you.
We hope so too. Until next time.